So first pick of the Power 5 coaches' second-year draft. Who's Christopher going to select? I think you know what it's going to be.
I mean, I gotta take the low-hanging fruit. Lincoln Riley, USC.
You have
What
to.
what else can you say? I mean, first of
Yeah.
all, perfect fit. We were just talking about this earlier today. I mean, he could have gone to LSU, and he would have thrived at LSU, but you got to play Bama, you got to play Auburn, you got to play A&M, Arkansas. That's a grind of a schedule. And not that the Pac-12 is a slight, but if you want to talk about like recruiting battlegrounds, I mean, he gets to run that Southern California. He gets to go into Arizona, and there's always a good quarterback or wide receiver there in Nevada with, Bishop Gorman.
Yep.
I think that
and to kind of summarize how he got in that position. So Clay Helton got fired right at the end of the 2021 season. He's actually at Georgia Southern right now. Fun fact. That's your water cooler fact of the day. I was going to work talking about college football at the water cooler. There you go. Clay Helton's over there at Georgia Southern. So they have not been good at USC. They have not been very good. Okay. But
they were 4-8 in 2021.
Yep.
And how?
Yes. And also, let's get after this too. Recruiting rankings. 2019, they were 20th in the country, which is unacceptable for USC, by the way. Unacceptable.
But okay, you know what? 20 is still whatever. You're still having an okay class. You can kind of compete in the Pac-12. 20 is unacceptable, but still, you still got to be better than 4 and 8.
Yeah. Okay, but let's get into 2020. Okay, this is not a typo, by the way. USC 24/7. All right, their rankings, because we like their rankings here on this podcast. Mm-hmm. They're the best ones out there. We can look at their composites too, but 68th. 68th. That's ridiculous. That's terrible. That's so bad. And then 2021, they were number 8 in the country. Clay Helton gets fired. Lincoln Riley brings in the number 1 transfer portal class in the country. Top 6 recruiting class. And then this past year, after the season, number 7 recruiting class in the country, right? So a little history about Lincoln Riley. He was Mike Leach's tree. RIP Mike Leach. Came out of Texas Tech. He played quarterback there. Well, didn't really play. Wasn't very good. Turns out he's a great coach. He's East Carolina offensive coordinator for a couple of years. And the Oklahoma offensive coordinator for a few years. And head coach for a couple of years, where we saw several Heisman Trophy winners and NFL players coming out of quarterback. 2022, this past year, they go 11-3. 8-1 in the Pac-12. They win the Pac-12 regular season. They didn't win the championship, and they got blown out by Utah. But if you're not going to tell me that having the number 2 offensively efficient offense in the country is not a big deal coming into the USC year 1, I'm sorry. Yeah, sure, they had Caleb Williams. Yeah. Let's talk about who developed him. That's not the first quarterback he's developed either. Baker Mayfield, okay, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So let's relax about that. But is there anything else that you want to add to that? Like, why are you taking him 1-1 besides from all of these reasons?
Well, to be honest, the only reason the reason why I cemented him at number 1 for me, was I believe in what they're doing on the defensive side, right? They were 107th last year. Grinch is still there, right? The DC, they came from Oklahoma. I mean, everyone loves him, but I haven't seen it, from him yet. But I know the talent has not been there. This year, that changes. You saw last year, I think Colin Cowherd says this all the time, because he's a big USC guy. He's like, in college football with the transfer portal, you can only fix one side of the ball every offseason. And so they're like, I got Lincoln Riley. We brought Caleb Williams over. Let's get an elite offense. You paid off. They won 11 games, right? The second offense rankings. Jordan Addison was first round pick. All these guys, but then they're like, we got to win in the trenches. We got to win defensively. And you saw that. I mean, at the beginning of the portal, they went out and got Anthony Lucas, 5-star defensive lineman from Texas A&M, who I know Matthew, tough loss. He was one of those freshmen that flashed. You knew there was going to be an exodus from that class, but
he's very good.
He's a real good player.
Anthony Lucas is a good player.
It's going to be who's going to be paired next to him? Bear Alexander. First of all name team for defensive lineman.
Fantastic.
5-star at Georgia. And he pushed those guys. I mean, that defensive front was incredible again, right? So just because you couldn't start at Georgia year 1, that means nothing. He's a monster. He's going to be really, real good for them. Went out, got some cornerback from Arizona, Christian Ronald Wallace. That insider seemed to be pretty high on. A couple other defensive linemen from Purdue. had a real great spring. Jack Sullivan. And then they went out and addressed the linebacker with Mason Cobb. I know a lot of people were after him from Oklahoma State. He'll play Mike linebacker for them. But actually, of impact freshman they're going to have on the defensive side of the ball, Tackett Curtis, right, linebacker. He's expected to push Mason Cobb, right? That's all signs out of
That's a big
spring.
deal. That's a transfer out of Oklahoma
really
State.
impressive.
A lot of guys wanted Mason Cobb. He's probably the highest rated linebacker in the transfer portal. One of the highest. He's one of the highest.
Yeah,
he was up
for
way
sure.
up there.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then offensively, they're going to reload. I mean, Dorian Singer from Arizona. If you're not a college football stan, you probably didn't watch many Arizona games. Dorian Singer's legit. Real good player. Been productive for a couple years. I think 2 straight years there. Marshawn Lloyd from South Carolina. Good running back. But they got running back depth there too, so he'll be good support.
And if you're like me and watch a lot of SEC football, you know who Marshawn Lloyd is, right? He's the guy that your team has a problem tackling, especially there around the goal line.
And then the 5-star Zachariah Branch. I mean, he just looks the part. He's a smaller guy, but to me, he's going to have that Evan Stewart type year where just good cornerbacks are going to struggle to guard him, out the gate. And then, I mean, the future's so bright there with especially the quarterback position. Caleb Williams, another year, exactly what you're going to get from him, finger paint and all, but he's going to be a monster. Malachi Nelson, some people had him as a top quarterback in that class and a really good quarterback high school class. They continue to recruit at a high level with him, and they always have. But he's also adjusted. That's why I liked him, is because he adjusted. He knew his weakness, and he's like, we're gonna fix our stuff.
And he's proven. I mean, year one, right? I'm just gonna talk about over under win totals. We can move on real quick. 2022 started the season last year. His over under win total was 8.5. Right? They were already pretty high on him after going pretty.
And I was hitting under, man. I did not trust that.
Yeah, I didn't trust it either. But guess what? And then now this year it's 9.5. So people are still pretty high. They're one of the favorites to win the Pac-12. So definitely obvious. Those are totally wrong numbers. Totally wrong numbers. Last year was 9.5. This year it's 10. That's what I meant to say. Those numbers obviously reflect on how successful this program has been. And Lincoln Riley's just a great coach.